The 6 biggest Commander storylines.
It is caught!
Delivered at 6 o'clock sharp. It's the Pick 6 at 6.
We set out to find a leader, someone who could take this franchise to the next level, build an elite team that consistently competes for championships.
All right, Anthony, I will give you the number one choice. The way we do this for the preseason is that we are looking at who we are most intrigued to watch, not who we think is going to impact the win or the loss, because it's the preseason and we don't care about the win or the loss. Although, Anthony, I'm not going to lie, I kind of like this format. I think we might keep this in the regular season. This might be a Pick 6 2.0 this year.
Hey, look, say a little more, man. I'm with it.
All right, so just kidding. This is how we do the Pick 6 now. Anthony, number one, on you.
Number 1.
Uh-oh. Number 1, I'm coming in with somebody you guys haven't even been thinking about. I would say Martavis Bryant. Part of the reason I say Martavis Bryant is because they brought this guy in, so obviously they feel as though this guy has something left in the tank. This guy hasn't played in a NFL regular season game since 2018, I want to say in November. So it's been some time, but I don't think you bring someone in and not, hope or expect to, get something out of him. So I think Sunday is going to be a good opportunity for him to go out there, make a play, show us, what if he has anything left in the tank, and then, just prove it, man. Be out there as a competitor. Also, he did get the strip fumble against Miami, so he did make a play so far.
He did make a play, made a football play. Excellent, good work on that. You said something there that's interesting. I made a note here to make sure that I didn't forget it. You said hope and expect to get something out of. Anthony, hope and expect are different things. You can hope to get something out of a Martavis Bryant, and he'll discover the form he had when he was 26 years old or whatever, coming out of Clemson, 23 years old coming out of Clemson. His best year was his rookie year in 2014, which I don't know if you know, is a long time ago at this point.
Really long time.
But to expect it is different. I do think they hoped. I don't think they expected. I think reasonably they knew this guy hasn't played in a long time. It's really, really hard to do what he's trying to do. He obviously did something enough on the practice squad last year with Dallas that caught Dan Quinn's eye, but it is much more of a hope than an expect. And so I agree that he's worth watching, and I am definitely, I do not disagree with his place on this Pick 6 because I am very intrigued to see if all of a sudden something clicks. He's got a bit more of the playbook this week. Can they do something with him? And if so, there's a spot for sure with Jahan being traded. But I don't think on my receivers list he's higher than Bryson Tremaine, for instance. Can he continue to force the issue? Can Mitchell Tinsley have a redemption game after last week where he had some opportunities and didn't come down with them? I think Jamison Crowder, down the list, etc. Those guys are all fighting. And the other thing that's going to be hard for Bryant is I don't know that he's a teams guy. What does he give you on – is he playing on special teams? And if not, you're not making the roster as a 5th receiver or a 6th receiver. I know there are a very small number of fans, probably small enough that I shouldn't even entertain this, that'll say, well, he's fighting to be the number 2. No, he's not. It'd be amazing if he did. But, let's start with him. Oh, why not give him reps with the 1s and find out? Because he's not beating up on the 3s and the 4s. You have to earn that, and he hasn't yet. And that's not a shot at Martavis. What he's trying to do, again, is really, really hard. So I'm intrigued, for sure, not mad at it. But I think there's other guys at receiver that are perhaps higher up on the list.
Number 2.
I will go with the guy who I think is one Mr. August. And I hesitate here to put him this high because I think he's already made the team. Tyler Owens, safety, big number 40. He's been awesome from the spring, worked his way up. I saw some tweets, Anthony, from practice earlier this week that this dude was playing some with the 1s. With the 1s. Now, the 1s is a very relative term when it comes to defensive backs and Joe Witt Jr. because he's got about 78 1s on a 53-man roster, of which there's 10 DBs. I haven't figured out that math yet, but Tyler Owens has been awesome, bro. And I am curious what kind of role he can carve out for himself. And this is his last big chance defensively to do that. I'd imagine he starts at safety this weekend with Chin and Quan not playing. And if he comes out and makes a big hit, makes a pick, or is just consistently excellent, does he all of a sudden find his way into the rotation and push a guy like Percy Butler, who's been safety number 3 when they've gone 3 safety sets, all camp long.
Yeah, I think one of the words you used was consistent or consistently excellent.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're watching out. We want a guy, if we're going to have confidence in a guy during the regular season, we want to see him be consistent throughout the preseason. So I think he's a good call. And again, he's made plays. So if he can just go out there and continue to, produce the way he's produced, then I think, he's given, Derek Forrest, he's given Jeremy Reese, he's given some of those guys that are at, safety a run for their money.
For sure. And to be clear, that safety position, Defoe and Revo. It sounds like a great buddy cop film. Defoe and Revo are two guys to watch for sure this weekend. I think Reeves is pretty darn safe because of what he is on special teams. But Defoe is definitely one of the guys who's in the mix for, the last 2-3 spots on this roster. What is he doing on teams? Of course, but then can he remind just how good, can he remind us and really prove to the new staff how good of a safety he can be? And if he can do that, then maybe that elevates him over some other guys. I have him on right now, but he might literally be the last guy that makes it. All right, who you got for number 3?
Number 3.
Number 3 is another guy that I mentioned earlier, Kaz Allen. Again, I think they're just trying to, find a place for this guy on the team. Started out with the receivers, was getting a lot of reps at punt return. We saw him on kick return. Last week against the Dolphins, we saw him at running back, and unfortunately he did fumble. But Cliff, he talked about how dynamic of a guy and a playmaker he is, and just getting the ball in his hands, he can be dynamic. So I'm excited to see if he can actually go out there and make a play, especially on kick return. I feel as though kick return, you're making one cut and you're gone.
And he was close.
Exactly.
Close to breaking a couple. Do you actually have that Cliff bite that you could find relatively quickly on Kaz Allen? Because I thought Cliff is not verbose. Cliff does not give you a lot at the podium. And he clearly had stuff to say about Kaz Allen. Now, Cliff is also not avoidant, except for he wasn't going to talk about the Dotson trade. And when he doesn't want to talk about something, it's very, very clear. We learned that at his intro press conference. He didn't want to talk about head coaching jobs. He didn't want to talk about the past. There's just certain stuff that he was like, it's a new day. I'm ready to go. If you want to talk about this job, cool. Although he didn't really want to talk about this job, quote unquote, either, because he hadn't done anything yet. All he'd done is be introduced. He hadn't started working yet. But point is, Cliff is a guy that if he doesn't want to talk about something, he won't. And I think it's pretty clear he has a vision for what Kaz Allen is, and that vision excites him.
I don't have enough computers to do what I want to do.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Just know that Cliff Kingsbury had nice things to say, and he specifically said that he could envision a Deebo Samuel type role. He was like, I'm not saying he's Deebo, but that running back wide receiver hybrid type of role. And if you have a vision for a player as an OC, that guy tends to make the team. So obviously Kaz can't go out and have 2 drops and a fumble, but if he goes out and has a kick return for a touchdown or something big, I think there's a really good chance that Kaz Allen's kind of the surprise, quote unquote, that makes the team on Tuesday. All right, that's number 3.
Number 4.
That would make number 4 next, indeed. I'm going to go Javonte Jean-Baptiste. Jamon, I think, has got his spot locked up with how he's played, how he's attacked this position switch. I've said this all week, really going back to last week, so I don't want to reiterate too much. The question is then, what do you do with a 7th-round rookie who's also coming on strong? Is there enough space, and can he force the issue? And this is something that, as we did the roster exercise that we just did, and Logan and I did it earlier in the week, and we'll do it again on Monday, I wonder if this team goes 24 on offense and 26 on defense. And they just go, we have some guys that we need to keep, and we have some other positions like wide receiver specifically where we've got about 5 that we feel like we need to keep. We're probably going to have 5 active on game day. If someone gets hurt, we're real confident we can get 3 to 4 guys that we really, really like but that aren't that different to practice squad. Because if you tell me you could get Byron Pringle, Mitchell Tinsley, Davion Davis, and pick one more, literally just Bryson Tremaine, whoever, Martavis Bryant to practice squad, that's a heck of a stable of receivers to pick from if you need one more on a game week. All of those even give you something just a little bit different. And with the practice squad rules and the ability, so in case people are like, what are you talking about with these practice squad rules? You could just elevate a guy now. Like, you don't have to pull someone down. There doesn't have to be an injury. You can just say, that guy's playing for us this week in a way that you couldn't 2 years ago. But this started last year. And so with that flexibility, if John Baptiste goes out and has another sack, and you're like, dang, we drafted this dude. He's had a couple of sacks in the preseason. He's got great traits. Someone else might scoop him up for their 53. We got to keep him. I wonder if we wind up with an unbalanced roster this year. And I think the depth at D-line and these edge spots, I think the depth at safety and DB could push it that way. And I think the depth at wide receiver actually pushes it the other way, where you look at the receivers and go, I think we could get some of these guys to P squad, because there's just such a depth of receiver, not just here, but around the league.
Yeah, I think that one's interesting from a depth point of view, just because I feel as though the tight end position and the safety position are, positions that they've had a tougher time sort of kind of evaluating.
Well, the thing is also, though, who's they, right? Oh. This is the first time. Yeah. I know they're wearing the same polos, but it ain't the same dudes wearing them.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. That was tough. I think it's a good call.
Yeah. So, but the point is, like, we'll see. If he goes out and gives up the edge 4 times and on a bunch of 50-yard gains, then we're talking about a different story come Monday. All right, number 5, Anthony, your last call here.
Number 5.
My number 5, and I teased him earlier, Cole Turner. I feel like he got a little bit to prove, just from a consistency standpoint. This is year 3 for him. And, he's sort of kind of like been up and down. I don't think he's necessarily grasped that tight end 3 or 4 position. So I just want to I want to see him go out there, catch the ball, give good blocks, and then just go from there. I think watching Ertz, we know what he is. He's a savvy veteran. But also the improved play of Ben Sinnott, I think, sort of kind of endangers if Cole Turner's going to do anything during the season. So I think that's more so why I'm watching him, just because I want to see him take that next step forward.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. I think that Cole, like so I'm going to tell a quick story, and this is adjacent to what happened. So high school basketball tryouts for me, like freshman year of high school, I started to play pretty well and made a couple of plays. And then I had a pass slip off. I jammed my finger earlier in the day, so it was like super swollen. And I had a pass just slip off my finger and go 17 feet over a dude's head. And it was like a one-handed pass that would have been a backdoor cut that would have been sick. And instead it slipped off my hands and sucked. And I knew the second that ball smashed off the wall that was my chance slipping literally off of my finger to make the team. And the reason I tell that story relative to Cole Turner is Cole Turner had done a bunch of awesome stuff to get noticed and then had a ball go off his hands that got picked off in the Miami game. And Cole Turner's unfortunate reality has been that. Do good things, do bad things. That inconsistency, I think, is just such a killer. And if he can have a good night, and because he has been way more consistently good in camp than he ever has been before. And so if he can get back to that, great. But if the games come around and it's like, hey, bro, congrats on doing it in practice, you clearly aren't up to it in the game, I think he's out. And at that point, I don't even know if they'll bother keeping him on practice squad because they gave him a really great shot, and he didn't come with it. So we'll have to see how that one plays out. All right, last but not least, Anthony.
Number 6.
All right, number 6 is Tariq Castro-Fields for me. He has been a guy that has been really, really sensational at times on special teams for them over the past couple of years. He has played some at the cornerback position, but he has also had some plays made on him, and I think there are younger, higher upside players like Chigozie Anusium who are, doing a really nice job and might be able to do a lot of the same things that, Tariq Castro-Fields has done in training camp. And so with that being the case, I am very, very curious to see how, these guys play on on Sunday night, because if they go out and ball out, Anusium or Castro-Fields or whoever it may be, then that guy's probably going to make the team. Like, it is close enough on that level. If all of a sudden you get one of these guys gives up a big, long touchdown, or especially if they miss a tackle on special teams or they blow an assignment, well, that guy's probably going to the practice squad and maybe even not. If it's a Anusium, then he's going to practice squad. If it's a guy like Castro-Fields, a young vet who's been around, then maybe not. So I think Castro-Fields, I think Anusium, I think like Noah Egbenogany is probably locked up his spot on the team. I don't know how many other guys are there, but again, then you get the safeties like Defoe, Jeremy Reeves, who are in similar realms. And I'm just really excited. Like, we talk about the concept of the segment being, who are you excited to watch on Sunday? Like, these are the guys. Tariq Castro-Fields, Chigozie Anusium, end of the roster, are fighting for their lives. And the last point I'll make on this, and this is true for all these guys, Anthony, is if the number one thing that Dan Quinn wants, and also Adam Peters, for everything we know, is the same exact thing, they want to see you compete. And so what is your compete level like? And maybe you do make a mistake, but it's done in the name of, like, I was trying to make a play. And I was told, and this is where it gets hard sometimes as an outside evaluator, right? And I think of the conversation I had with BSJ, where you jump a route because you're supposed to, and if you get beat on a double move, you get beat on a double move, but you were responsible for the out route, and you were told you had safety help over the top. And let's say Chigozie Anusium jumps a route that he's supposed to and then gives up a long touchdown because the safety blows the coverage. Chances are we're going to come in here on Monday and be like, man, that sucks for Anusium. He didn't make the team, or he's not going to make the team because, the inexperience showed. But they might be like, that dude competed, that dude went to make a play, and that's exactly what we asked him to do, and that's all we want, and he's on the team. And so those are the little things that make it really hard to do this from the outside. It's why the conversations between a guy like Peters and a guy like Quinn, but even the coordinators, are really, really important. And getting that information if you're AP, and not just, hey, watch the tape. Of course the tape's important, but what's the context of the tape? And I think corner particularly is a position where that can be especially true, and especially in this defense, the way they coach it up. And, I want to see guys go make plays. And I think there's a great chance for that, especially as the game goes and Drake May gets in there, a young quarterback, and then whoever the heck the backup is to Drake May afterwards for New England on Sunday night.
And I feel like that's what those corners are going to be thinking, though. They got to make a play. So I think –
yeah, and by the way, just real quick, Quinn talked about that today.
Yeah.
Guys over-pressing and making sure that doesn't happen. So who can not just go make a play, but who can play within themselves, which actually then allows you to make the play? Like, how do you control that?
This is the Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.